expand. When you see that word expand, they want you to do the distributive property. And really what it looks like is this. Well, here's what it's based on. If you have this, 5, 3 plus 1, what does the distributive property say? Well, just like it sounds, if you see a problem like this, first of all, we know that the answer is, you do the parentheses first, you get 4, and you know 5 times 4 is 20. But what the distributive property says, and it's when you have parentheses, it says that you can take the number outside of the, I'm going to write that down because maybe that's what I didn't do in the past. Take the number, by the way, it could be a letter. Let's put or letter on the outside of the parenthesis and multiply it by every, I suppose we should probably underline that, every term inside the parenthesis. And it takes a lot longer to write down than in reality it will ever be. Take the number or letter that's outside of the parenthesis and multiply it by every letter inside the parenthesis. And you'll get rid of that parenthesis. I'll let you write that because it is crucial that you're following along with me on this. Absolutely, positively crucial. Until right now, you're going to fare much better than most. What is that word? Parentheses. Multiply. Every. Term. Inside. Outside. Letter. Number. The. Take. Grace.
The.
Outside of.
Oh.
Parenthesis and. Multiply it by every term inside. Okay, what the distributive property says is this. I can take this 5 that's outside the parenthesis and multiply it by, first of all, how many terms are inside this? 2. Terms are always separated by addition and subtraction signs that aren't in parentheses, even though this is in parentheses, but it's not in parentheses on its own. So this is the same thing as saying 5 times 3 plus 5 times 1. And I don't expect you to write all that out, but I want you to see what it is. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 1 is 5. And when you add 15 and 5 together, you get the same thing that you got up there. But somebody right now is saying, why in the world would we ever want to do that? Jacob, say it because I know you're thinking it.
Why in the world would we ever?
Well, good point, Jacob, because sometimes in the parentheses are things that you can't put together. In other words, this. What if I had 5 times x plus 1? Okay, I cannot put an x plus a 1 together. They don't go together. They're not what we call like terms. We'll get more into that later. Okay. So, well, here's an example. Let me do a reason why. Let me do that. 5 times x plus 1 equals 20. Okay, what you might want to do in that case there to try to figure out what your answer is get rid of this parenthesis by using that distributive property. And what happens when I do the distributive property? I take this 5 on the outside of the parenthesis and I multiply it by every term inside that parenthesis. What is 5 times x? It's just 5x. Trust me on that. What is 5 times 1? 5. And now that equals 20. And maybe this is easier for you to do. You're not going to have to do this equation, but not that you couldn't. What number plus 5 gives you 20? So 5 times what number is 15? So the answer to this is actually 3, but that's really not the point of doing it. The point is they're just going to want you to do the distributive property. Or how about this? Right out of the book. 3 times w plus m. If I use the distributive property there to get rid of the parentheses, what do I end up with? I take this 3 on the outside, and I multiply it by the first W there. What is 3 times W, anybody? 3W is tough. And then whatever this sign is the sign that I bring down. What's 3 times M? 3M. And that's all there is to it. There's nothing more. What if it was 3 times W minus M? Well, multiply 3 times W, it's bring down the minus sign this time. What's 3 times M? That is all that you're doing is using and doing that distributive property thing. Trying to think what else, if they use something here. How about this one? 2 times 3 plus W. If I use the distributive property there, Gary, I'm going to get
2 times 6 plus 3.
nope. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times W is, huh?
32.
Well, 2W. Always put the number in front of the letter. Okay, that is right. This is what you get. How about this one? 6 times x minus 3. What do I get if I do the distributive property there? Evan,
6x minus 3.
no.
No, minus, 18.
Correct. 6x minus 18, because it's 6 times x, and then it's 6 times minus 3. Are we getting there? How about 7 times L minus T? Ryan says I get
7 minus 17.
exactly 7L minus 7T. Christine and Megan took 7 times L, and I took 7 times T. How about 4 times M minus 6? Sammy.
4m minus 24.
4M minus 24. Now, do you think you got a handle on that?
Yep.
Because maybe this is where it goes south. We're only halfway through what we need to talk about. Actually, we're more than halfway, but I'm gonna stop this.